The death penalty in the United States is a very hot topic. It always has been and probably always will be. Some people are pro-death penalty, while others are strongly opposed to it. The statistics are very clear that the United States is not in any position to be imposing the death penalty upon its citizens. Okay. How many executions are scheduled in the United States as of right now? Currently, there are 24 people that are sitting on death row that have been scheduled to be executed within the next 2 years. Okay. 10 of those people are in Texas, 10 are in Ohio, 2 are in South Dakota, 1 is in Pennsylvania, and another one is currently sitting on death row in Florida. The number of death sentences have declined over the past several years. Since the year 2000, we have seen a steady decline in the number of sentences that have equated to the death penalty. In 1999, there were only 98 executions that were scheduled, and in 2011, there were only 43 people sentenced to die under the United States law. The demographics of death row inmates vary from state to state. However, 80% of the victims in the cases where the defendant ends up getting capital punishment are white. 86% of all death row inmates that are on military death row are minorities, and 72% of all death row inmates in Louisiana are also minorities. Okay. North Carolina did a study, and what they concluded in that study is that the defendant is 3 times more likely to get the death penalty when the victim is white. Almost all people that have been convicted and sentenced to death are too poor to hire their own attorney. The attorneys that they have been appointed, some have shown up to the cases and been drunk. Some have shown up and not had any experience at all in handling a death penalty case. And other attorneys, that are appointed are just strictly underpaid, overworked and underpaid. According to Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she once stated that people who are well represented at trial do not get the death penalty. Now, this information is courtesy of the Death Penalty Info Center, and I think that she makes a very good point there, given the statistics. Okay. As of 2012, there have been 17 people that were sentenced to die under the U.S. death penalty law, and later their convictions were overturned because it was found out that they were actually innocent people. Okay. Some of the reasons that people are falsely convicted and sentenced to die in this country is eyewitness misidentification, false confessions, being under duress and being coerced by the police to make a false confession. Forensic science sometimes is not reliable, or the material has been handled inappropriately, so it comes out with results that may show that one defendant is guilty when in fact that they're not. And government misconduct can be another reason for people being exonerated later. And also, like I said before, incompetent attorneys is also another reason why people sometimes are sentenced to death and then later found to be innocent. And that information comes from the Innocence Project, which is an organization that works to dig into cases throughout the United States, look into forensic evidence, and then, in some cases, overturn a conviction. Okay. The average person sits on death row approximately 13 years before they are exonerated. 70% of the people that are exonerated that have been sentenced to death and later been found innocent is about 70% minority. Each year, many people are scheduled to die under the death penalty of the United States. There are 24 executions set to take place within the next 2 years in this country. Many of them are minorities. Many of them are poor. Race and attorney competency are major factors that play into whether someone gets the death penalty, as is the race of the victim. Okay. Is it worth the risk that we sentence someone to death and then later come back and find out that maybe we put the wrong person to death? According to dictionary.com, Helen Prejean sums it up very well. In her quote, she says, "If I were to be murdered, I would not want my murderer executed. I would not want my death avenged, especially by the government, which can't be trusted to control its bureaucrats or to collect taxes equitably or to even fill a pothole, much less decide which of its citizens is going to kill." Thank you.